In this video we're going to be talking about autism stimming. What is stimming, the reasons why autistic people stim, as well as talking about whether they are dangerous or not. So here we go. Well, hello indie people, and if you're brand new to my channel, I make weekly videos talking about being autistic from my experiences. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, make sure you subscribe, click that notification bell for more videos like this. But say if you're brand new to the world of autism or stimming, like you've heard this term stimming, you don't have a clue what it is. Basically, stimming is a shortened term for self-stimulatory behaviour. And self-stimulatory behaviour, or stimming, is repetitive actions that a person does to self-regulate, to block out sensory stimulus, or to relieve the anxiety that they feel, or to express the emotions that they are feeling in a physical way. And people can stim in multiple ways. So it could be movement of the body, the movement of body parts, or the way that someone handles objects to create a motion. If it's done in a repetitive way, so over and over again, then that is stimming. Like what I was doing just there with this, that's stimming because it's a repetitive motion, it's a repetitive action. Stimming is not something that is unique to autism. It can be found in other neurological conditions such as ADHD, for example, as well as people who don't have a neurological condition at all. Everyone stims. Whether they know it as stimming, that's an entirely different question, I feel, but everyone does stim. Stims in themselves don't have to be massive actions like I was doing with that globe earlier. It could be very simple things, such as, I don't know, have you ever tapped your pen on a desk before? Or have you ever twirled your hair for ages? Just because it's such a soothing thing, it's a relaxing thing to someone that you know, or to yourself. You just sat there twirling your hair, just without a care in the world. Those are stims. But you might be asking yourself the question of, Andy, what's the difference then between someone who is autistic who stims and someone who is not autistic and the way that they stim? That's a very good question. Quite often the difference between the two is the type of stims that an autistic person will do in comparison to someone who's not autistic, and also the quantity I've noticed is a lot higher in those like myself who are autistic. We tend to have more stims, but also I feel when it comes to non-autistic people, if you're twirling your hair, for example, you can just stop it in an instant, or if someone's asked for your attention, it's just easy to stop that and draw your attention to that conversation. However, when it comes to autistic people, some of us have great difficulty in stopping those stims, or when we're asked to do something, if we're stimming, it can be difficult to just stop right there on the spot and go towards that conversation. It can be harder to recognize when a stim is not necessarily appropriate for the right situation, and also how those stims can impact on that situation. But now I want to talk about different types of stimming. Basically, there's different stims. There's like groups of stims, and within these groups there are different stims that a person can do. So you have verbal stimming, so basically making sounds or noises such as singing, humming. There's visual stimming, so staring at lights, turning lights on and off, putting something in front of your eyes to create like a blurring motion. It's all to do with the visual things. Even just sitting down, watching a globe, seeing all of the little bits of plastic reflect light off light, it's quite a beautiful thing, actually. It's quite mesmerizing. I quite like it. It's quite a nice stim, to be honest. Another example of autism stimming is tactile stimming, and basically this is where you touch things, you touch objects, you know, soft things, hard things, things just to create emotion, because damn, it's just good getting fanned right now in a hot room. Another example is oral stimming, and this is basically where someone will chew on foods over and over again, or, you know, crave a certain type of food because it creates an oral sensation. But also with oral stimming, you can go into the realm of chewing things that aren't necessarily sanitary, such as clothing, for example, which is where my friends over at Chewy Gem could be really helpful for you or someone that you know. Chewy Gem, if you don't know, are a company who make chewable products or jewelry. Basically, it's objects that people can chew on instead of chewing on clothing, things like that. But also Chewy Gem is really one of the places when it comes to sensory processing disorder and talking about autism and other neurological conditions. Really, they've got a really great community over at the sensory support group. There's a lot of other great things on the website. They do memberships for products, they do absolutely all sorts. So if you want to go and check out Chewy Gem, I'm going to leave my affiliate links down below. These are my affiliate links, so any purchases I get a commission on, but all of the money that does come from those affiliate links, they just go back into the channel anyway, so I can buy new equipment and things like that. Basically, it's just a small way of funding the channel. So if you think that would be something for you, check out the affiliate links down below, and massive thank you to Chewy Gem for all that you do. Now, auditory stimming is another type of stim which someone can do. Basically, this can be like tapping a pen, for example, like we talked about earlier, drumming on a table, basically anything that you do, an action that you do to create a sound. So basically, drum away my friends, drum away. Another type of stimming is olfactory stimming. Now, olfactory sounds like a really fancy word, but basically it's smelling. So basically smelling things, smelling fragrances, you know, basically putting yourself in a situation where you smell something quite regularly in a repetitive way. Another type of stimming is vestibular stimming, and to be honest, that word is hard to say, but the meaning of it is basically movement, you know, trying to create movement, you know, in one's body. So types of stims include jumping, spinning, standing on tiptoes, you know, rocking backwards and forwards, which is a common example of autism stimming. It's something that is talked about quite often. So there are a lot of different types of stims and lots of potential stims that an autistic person could do. But a question you may be asking yourself is whether some stims are dangerous for autistic people. I must stress that the majority of stims that someone does are harmless and are in no way dangerous. However, there are stims which are dangerous for autistic people, which are known as self-injurious behaviors or SIBs. Basically, an SIB is an action which an autistic person, or a person does, I should say, that causes injury to themselves or potentially other people through that stim happening. But some SIB examples include headbanging, hand scratching, extreme skin picking, as well as scratching. But when it comes to self-injurious behaviors and stims which are self-injurious, it is important to stop those behaviors because obviously it's physical injury, or there's risk of physical injury to the person. But I think it's important to understand the actual reason or the why they are doing that stim in the first place. They could be doing a self-injurious behavior in response to something that is irritating them, something which is incredibly fixable. But even though there are these self-injurious behaviors and stims which can be hurtful to autistic people, to themselves, it's important to realize the value of stimming and why people stim in the first place, because stimming allows us to express ourselves, self-soothe, self-regulate, allows us to just calm down from that anxious feeling that we get sometimes. But also trying to stop an autistic person from stimming altogether can actually be detrimental to their own well-being, because in a lot of instances stimming is a way of coping, and by taking that coping mechanism away just because it looks weird or different or you don't necessarily understand it, it's like not being able to walk without a walking stick. In effect, stimming is a walking stick for a lot of autistic people. So taking away that walking stick, taking that ability to stim, or trying to change that stim, you're taking away that ability for us to cope, or that ability for us to be able to express ourselves in a way that just feels natural to us. To me, stimming can be a great thing. You know, it can be a crutch sometimes, but it also can be a way for us to access the world. Maybe not in a conventional sense, but conventional's boring anyway, isn't it, really? But if you enjoyed this video, definitely leave a big thumbs up for me down below. Subscribe if you want to see more. Stay you, stay indie, have a great day, and I'll see you next time.